9:15. Let's have a great day, everybody.
Cut the shit!
Get to the chopper!
No. I am your father.
I was born in it, molded by it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Cut the Shit movie podcast. My name's Jack.
And I'm Gaz.
And we're here to talk about movies. Our very first episode, and we're going to start off with a hot topic straight away. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker just came into cinemas last week, and it's been a lot of controversy around it.
We saw it midnight release, which I think has to factor into how we were feeling.
How we were feeling at the time. Tired,
just had work the next day, was not ready at all to see it. But I went in there, my initial thought when I came out, it was entertaining.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of the Star Wars franchise, and I heard nothing about bad things going in, so I was expecting the worst, but before the movie I was sat there and I was like, okay, just put that out of my mind and go in open-minded and see how we go, and I came out very disappointed. I think I turned to you and my first reaction was, what the effing hell was that?
Yeah, no, it was, it's a mixed one, isn't it? But that's like every Star Wars film that seems to come out besides Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. But like, these new trilogies, definitely, they've come out and they always like polarize people.
Yeah, the Disney trilogy's been like, it's been a lot of room for controversy in that because, The Last Jedi, we'll start by saying we like The Last Jedi.
I like Last Jedi. It's a good film.
It's we don't think it's bad.
Justice for Last Jedi.
There's obviously some like parts of the movie that I don't agree with, like the hardcore fan base does. The choices around Luke, some of them work, some of them don't.
The way he died.
Yeah, I can see why people don't like it.
Obviously. I think it's harsh because the choices around who dies in Star Wars has always been like a controversial thing. Because like Han Solo, a lot of people agree that he should have died at the end of Last Jedi. It would have made his arc, and like even Harrison Ford himself has said that.
You mean The Force Awakens?
No.
Oh, you actually mean
Last Jedi when like he goes into that vat and like that shit, and that's how it ends.
Yeah.
That Harrison Ford said that he wished that Han Solo had kind of died there until he did Force Awakens, and he was but it was basically just because of Return of the Jedi, which sucked.
Yeah.
You
think the Return of the Jedi sucks? You don't like it?
I don't think it's great. I think there's a lot like the Ewoks. They're weird.
I rewatched it the other day, and I think it does have a lot of similarities to the new one, The Rise of Skywalker. I see a lot of similarities between the two films, but I think the biggest difference between those and why I enjoy Return of the Jedi is that we know the characters and we're attached to the characters, whereas in this, like the opening crawl says, it's not really a spoiler, but it's been a year since The Last Jedi happened, and these characters all of a sudden have become best friends, and they're teaming up, and that's not earned at all.
Yeah, it felt like it needed another film in between to like bridge it, because like as I said to you when I walked out, I thought it was like, as I said, first thought was entertaining, and then the more I thought about it, it felt like it'd been booked into oblivion. Yeah. Like if anyone here besides me is a wrestling fan, when like bookies like book themselves into like a really bad decision.
So making the story is what booking means.
Yeah. So like making the story and meaning that the final resolution could only go one way and it's just gonna suck.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like that. Like they were forced to do this film, not how they may have wanted to do it. Yeah. And I think like if we actually break it down,
it's hard to find a video if you search up Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It's hard to find a video on YouTube that doesn't say that Rian Johnson ruined the franchise and that J.J. Abrams had to save it. But in doing so, J.J. could have easily just gone, we'll make it into a 4-film.
Yeah.
4-film.
Like it's not like Disney would have been like, no, we don't want too much money.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, like it's weird though because Disney own all these great things now.
Yeah.
And Marvel's like the key of consistency, you'd have to say. Like, even their bad films gross well.
They're enjoyable.
Generally like.
Yeah.
Their only thing, like, they may be slightly stale.
Yeah.
But then Star Wars comes out, and it's like, the fan base for Marvel films are a lot more, I think, loyal to it, and maybe not loyal, less impassioned, I think, about, like, the other films that aren't as good.
I feel like they get it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Star Wars films, you just get the sense, like, the best Star Wars film could come out, and people will hate it.
Yeah.
Just
and the worst one could come out, and people will love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the people after Force Awakens, like, that wave of people who wanted to just, like, say that Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones actually were good because they had new ideas. It's like, you could actually break down Force Awakens. Yes, it has a lot of similarities, but how it dealt with these characters actually set it up really well for Rian Johnson to take in a new direction. He didn't do enough.
Yeah, he made bold choices, and some of them paid off, some of them didn't. But yeah, The Force Awakens, people think they're clever for saying that it's a remake of A New Hope,
but it really isn't. Like, it's
a lot.
If you ask these people, like, to elaborate, which is always a great thing to do when someone has a controversial opinion, because most of the time they'll just be, you're not disagreeing with me. I'm right. But if you get them to elaborate, they're like, the characters are too similar to A New Hope one. But it's like, I like what they've done with Rey, Poe, and Finn, because when I was watching that, I was thinking, okay, so, like, Poe's kind of like Leia, but also, like, Han, because he's hot-headed, but then Finn could be Han, because he's, like, outlaw, but then he could be...
I feel like Finn's most like C-3PO.
Yeah.
He spends most of the movie going, Rey, instead of actually doing anything.
But, like, in Force Awakens, I think he's good. He has enough action. It's a good arc. It's a good idea.
Yeah. That he's a stormtrooper that turns against...
it's a great idea.
Empire. Yeah.
And then Rey is, like, people, like, instantly, Luke. But she molds better with Han. So, like, it's I don't know, it kind of pisses me off when people just decide to completely ignore this trilogy, but then they still go see the film and get angry at it.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it just feels like all these films are doing is just fueling people's hate. But back to the film.
People are never happy.
People are never happy. Back to the film. I think we can't really talk too much about it without spoiling it.
So we'll do a spoil. We'll just do our spoiler summary here. I think the good things about the film are obviously John Williams' score is always a great part of a Star Wars movie. The only thing wrong with this, like, the music's great, but I feel like it was implemented to influence people's emotions a little too much.
Yeah, it felt forced.
Yeah, you like you see. Like you see in the trailer when C-3PO turns to Poe, Rey, and Finn, say, "I'm having one last look at my friends."
And it's like,
the music blares up and it's trying to make you feel for C-3PO. But the thing is, and the relationship with the three of them. But the thing is, C-3PO doesn't know them. Like, he doesn't know them, and that what they think that will accept that because in the opening crawl it says, like, they've done stuff, and you're supposed to accept the fact that they've been a trio for a year.
It's like, you really need to pay attention to the opening crawl, which most people do.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Like, the opening crawl, I think, should serve as a really cool, neat, short, brief...
It gets you hyped.
A little bit of exposition, but not too much.
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise you just get lost. Like, A New Hope's is perfect.
Yeah.
Because it sets it up really nicely.
It just comes straight into the space battle.
Exactly.
Like the space chase,
Yeah. But yeah, no, like, without spoiling, I thought it was, like... I think it was solid performances from Adam Driver.
I really like Kylo Ren's story arc.
Yeah, no,
and there's an appearance by an actor in the movie, on a scene that we'll get into in spoilers, that I thought was probably the best scene in the movie, and served well his development as a character.
I thought it was great. I also like John Boyega. I think they redeemed Finn. Not enough.
Yeah.
They
didn't redeem Rose.
Thank God they didn't redeem Rose. I'm really sorry, but I just thought...
Yeah.
Like, you could have used her anywhere else. You could have made a side story about her, but why on earth was that an entire film plot? Like,
2 minutes was enough for us.
Yeah, why did we have to have camel racing? Intergalactic camel racing.
That's the worst part about the last.
What is it with George Lucas and like his asphyxiation with like camels? The ATTs. I think the guy's trying to tell us something.
Ah, Jim. Robot camels.
And yeah, I thought Ray was good.
Yeah.
Not standout.
I like Daisy Ridley, but
Yeah.
nothing special.
It just felt like
movie.
she was there. It didn't feel like she had really progressed. It
Yeah.
was like the finish of Last Jedi. Oh, the movie's happened.
I think a lot of people are going to have problems with the force powers that Ray has in this movie. Too.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
We'll get into that in spoilers.
Yeah. And then, what else? Oscar Isaac's always consistent.
So,
there were no real standouts.
No standouts.
But it wasn't terrible acting. Like, it wasn't The Room in space.
Yeah. So, basically our summary is, music was good, bit forced. Kylo Ren's arc, I really enjoyed.
Kylo Ren's ass.
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 That's a good ass. And then the acting is like, it's good. It's not great, but it's good.
So to sum up the film, good.
Average. And so, let's get into spoilers.
At last. My boy. I have been every voice you have ever heard inside your head.
Yep.
So, like, Papa Palpatine's back.
Palpatine's back.
And obviously the big spoiler there is that Rey's related to Papa Palpatine.
Yep.
I think that would have been a great, like, twist. And it is a good twist in its own right. If Papa Palpatine, I'm just going to keep referring to him as Papa Palpatine.
That's fair.
Or Brother Palpatine. I don't know.
Brother.
Papa Palpatine looks terrible in this film. If you can agree. He looks like the neighbor from Spider-Man 2 who keeps harassing Tobey Maguire for rent with, like, pale face and lip liner on. It's the same actor from Revenge of the Sith and the prequels reprising his role, which I thought was good. It was a nice touch.
Well, he is. Yeah.
He didn't say, do it.
He did.
Did he say do it?
He said do it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because one of the other friends that was at the screening with us, he turned to me because he said do it. And we were both jumping up and down. So it's a big moment.
Do it.
Yeah, no, I just didn't think he looked fearsome. In the... like,
He's a dead body.
He is, but
He's a dead body that's being moved around by basically a claw machine.
But still...
It's ridiculous.
Why every time I'll see this film now, which will probably only be once more, I'll just think, Red, where's my money? Like that guy. What else was there? There was Kylo Ren's arc.
Kylo Ren's arc. Yeah, what we wanted to talk about was there's a scene. You see it in the trailer when he's having that lightsaber fight with Rey on where like the waves are crashing. That's on the Death Star.
That was beautifully shot. I think
that was probably the best fight scene in the movie.
Yeah.
A lot of them I didn't really go for because you didn't feel any stakes, and that's because of Rey's force powers, which we'll get to. But there's a lightsaber fight between Ren and Rey, and Ren ends up pretty much beating Rey. She's defeated, and she's on the ground, and he's about to kill her. And then Leia uses all her force energy left, so this means that Leia dies, to communicate with Kylo Ren to get him to stop. And then during this time while he's like conflicted, Rey stabs him and he looks like he's going to die. And I was like, oh, didn't realize he was going to die this early. It's about halfway through the film.
Yeah.
And he falls down and then Rey decides to use her powers to heal him.
Yeah.
So it kind of, when that happens, it takes me out of the movie because it means that like pretty much anyone can be saved.
I mean, force healing has been done before.
Yeah.
Never in films.
In the wider universe.
It's in the Mandalorian episode that released literally the week of.
Yeah. Baby Yoda heals.
Yeah. I haven't seen the Mandalorian. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I watched the episode.
Yeah.
I don't mind the Mandalorian.
That's like on my watch list for
that's
good. But yeah, no, it's been done heaps of times. Like even in the Clone Wars, there's even a game where it happens. Like but to like that was probably the only risk I think J.J. Abrams really took with this film.
It's used 3 times in the movie.
It is, yeah, and it's used not even just by Rey, but by Ren.
Kylo. Which
So
is weird because
that
I don't
him
know
saying
how
that-
he knows because he didn't learn his skill from a Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just like, oh, anything you can do, I can do better?
Well,
maybe.
He was taught by Luke, but he betrayed Luke to go learn more from like the Sith,
Ew.
the dark side,
Yeah.
which means that. But the Force healing is only really a. Like,
Well, I can't imagine a
light
Sith
thing.
using a Force heal that much.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, Darth Maul would still be a thing.
Well, he is in the wider universe.
I don't watch the wider universe.
No one watches it. But yeah, so Kylo Ren's basically dead, and Rey heals him. Anyway, Rey takes off to go find Palpatine, and it cuts back to Adam Driver. He's looking out at the ocean, and then he hears a voice, and he turns around, and it's Harrison Ford.
Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks is naked.
I wish Jar Jar Binks was in this movie.
Oh, like
But,
that was the fan service that we all needed.
Yeah, and then he turns around and it's Han Solo. So obviously, my first thought was, "Geez, Harrison Ford's getting paid a lot to do this."
Yeah.
He's set up for the rest of his life for what little he has left. But yeah, he turns around and it's a really good one of the emotional scenes that actually works in the movie. And it's basically a repeat of their scene in The Force Awakens just before Kylo Ren kills his father.
Well,
Spoiler, sorry if you haven't seen The Force Awakens, you idiot. But yeah,
stupid idiot.
it's just a repeat of the same lines. I don't have the strength. I don't know if I have the strength to do what I need to do. And then Han Solo gives him his blessing. He throws his red lightsaber into the water, and then he takes off to go find Rey to go help her. So
wish he had the red. He could have kept the red lightsaber. I understand it's red, but
yeah, it's red,
it's just
but
so cool.
it is cool.
Yeah.
So that takes us to the end battle, really.
Yeah, the end battle was a bit meh, isn't it?
was-
And if I could sum up 2019 films, besides like the good ones,
Yeah.
that would make my top 5. The endings are all a bit meh.
Yeah, it was just a half an hour battle that I was waiting to finish the whole time.
Yeah. I was like, ooh. What I thought they were going to do, like my mind, this is halfway through. Remember when Rey does the whole lightning thing?
Yep.
I thought she was going to turn evil. And they were just going to do a switch and end it off on there.
Yeah.
And I really would have liked that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have just liked that. Try something new, like
Yeah.
end off with the good person, the Luke,
Yeah.
or do the Anakin thing, but properly.
Yeah.
I think if it would have ended like that, it would have been, people would have been a lot more happier. And then there would have been the people like, oh, she's Anakin. It's like, yeah, no, it isn't. She didn't say this is pod racing. No, this is pod racing.
And then the only problem with that is that it'd go into another trilogy, and I don't think I want that.
I want another trilogy.
It's got to end on a good movie.
It does.
But
Well,
yeah,
technically, the prequels ended on the best film in the prequels.
well, yeah, it was.
It's
the
not
best.
saying much.
No.
The first battle's great, the middle part's terrible, and the ending's pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, so the end battle is basically, well, it's Kylo Ren and Rey teaming up against Palpatine.
Papa Palp.
But before that, the Knights of Ren that were heavily used in promotional material for the movie are little bitches in this movie.
Quickly die. Quickly
They
die.
do nothing in this movie, and they're shown about 3 times in wide menacing shots, and they do absolutely nothing apart from capture Chewie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the tease that Deadpool 2 did with X-Force.
Yeah.
Like they had the good actors,
Yeah.
Skarsgård, Terry Crews,
Brad
Brad
Pitt.
Pitt's in
Brad
it,
Pitt.
but Brad Pitt wasn't advertised.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is Deadpool were in on it. Like
Yeah.
they knew and you knew that it was just a piss take. It was like, oh cool, and Zazie Beetz is hot, so we're fine.
Real good.
But here, it was just
It was a waste. It was a waste of
and
time.
they're dead.
It was just an excuse for Kylo Ren to kill people.
It's literally just Star Wars. It's an excuse to sell merchandise.
Yeah.
Like, Knights of Ren are what the Ewoks were,
Yeah,
In
exactly. Yeah,
Return of the Jedi.
basically, yeah.
except a little bit cooler than the Ewoks.
Yeah.
Because I don't like
Because they're dressed in black.
I don't like Ewoks. the final battle. That's where we end up, and it was a bit lackluster. I'm sure we could probably talk for about an hour on just where it failed.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we focus on like the good parts, there were No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's hard to think, actually.
The aerial space battle is really good. J.J. Abrams really knows how to film that. Like, you could put Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker as like some of the best aerial combat, maybe even in the series, just because how he likes to film it. And it makes you feel like you're actually just right behind the ship, or even in the ship. And then, I don't know, the Palpatine thing for me kind of like fell flat.
Yeah. It was really disappointing for like the way they did that fight with. So Ren's taken out of it, and it's Rey and Palpatine. He does this evil speech that he's gonna transform the Sith into Rey.
Yeah.
Rey looks up into the sky and hears all the voices of the Jedi, like,
which was really cool.
Yeah, I didn't mind that. So it was like, it was Yoda, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan. All the actors are back to play them.
Yeah,
Mace Windu, so Samuel L. Jackson's in it.
Yeah.
And then Rey grabs Luke and Leia's lightsabers, which she was given to earlier in the film.
Yeah.
Crosses them together and stops Palpatine's lightning and reflects it back onto him, and he's killed. And then, but in doing so, that kills Rey as well. So Kylo Ren comes back and crawls up from where he was knocked down into, and he comes over and picks up Rey. And one of the stupidest decisions,
maybe like the biggest what WTF moments.
I'm not talking about the kiss.
Oh.
I'm talking about the way they filmed it and what they told Daisy Ridley to do, because she lies there with her eyes open with a blank expression on her face, and it was almost so bad it was funny.
Yeah, it was probably like the porn acting of death.
It wasn't. It was just... if she closed her eyes, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But she had her eyes open staring while Kylo Ren's like blubbering, and it looks just weird. It's so awkward.
I mean, Adam Driver is one hell of a crier.
He's a good crier.
So,
if you've seen Marriage Story, he's a great crier.
Like Marriage Story. Oh, Marriage Story. Such a good film. But he is one hell of a crier. But at the same time, it just felt weird. Yeah, because of that. But I'm more talking about the kid.
The kid, yeah.
What was that?
I know.
Like, I know they have a connection, but...
it came out of nowhere.
It really did. It felt like Rey and Finn had more of a chance of kissing than that. And so when that happens, you're like, huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was more like Kylo Ren sort of into some like weird shit.
Yeah. It was like watching cousins kiss.
Yeah, it was just weird.
It was very, very off-putting.
I know. I've heard some people like snickering and laughing.
Yeah, no, that was the guy right next to us, the nerd. Yeah. Shout out to the nerd.
I mean, we sound like nerds doing this.
We do. Yeah. But he was like, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, it was just super awkward, and then Kylo Ren gives his life force to Rey, and that means Kylo dies.
Yeah. I like Kylo resurrecting Rey. It's a good redemption. Why did he have to die?
I feel like he died because it was a symbol to say that the Skywalker's done, but that kind of defeats the purpose, because Rey goes back to where Luke grew up and buries his lightsaber in the ground on Tatooine. I think it's Tatooine.
Yeah.
Buries it in the ground, and then an old lady walks past and goes, "Oh, what's your name?" And she says, "My name's Rey." Stops and pauses. Her name should be Rey Palpatine, which I feel like would have been a cooler thing to do, because if she says Rey Palpatine, then that defeats Palpatine's legacy of doing evil, because Rey's good.
Yeah.
And looks over to the distance and sees Luke and Leia in ghost form and says, "My name is Rey Skywalker." And I was like, that is not earned. I don't like that. That just puts me in a bad mood when I leave the movie.
It's just like why?
Yeah.
Why have you done, like...
And she's got a yellow lightsaber.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just throw that in there. They just decided to throw so much into this film and expect you to know.
I felt like they threw so much into this movie they tried stuff, but it felt like the safest movie possible with all the fan service they did.
I said when I first came out, it doesn't feel like a J.J. Abrams film. And you looked at me straight in the face and you're like, it's pretty J.J. It's quite safe.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then, like, I thought about it,
That's
and
how
it took like a week to gestate it. And I was just like, oh yeah, no, that's boring, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it's still, like, it's a 2019 action film, an adventure film.
Yeah.
It's gonna have high points where you're like, yeah.
I feel like if you don't really care too much about the Star Wars franchise and you just want to go watch a movie, like, I feel like it's fine to go see.
Yeah.
But if you're invested in the story, and I know there's people that are invested in the story that really like the movie, but for me, it didn't work at all.
I think, like,
It's a
with this
mess.
franchise, as opposed to, like, some other franchises, you probably couldn't watch this film solemnly. Like, it would be very hard to watch this film and enjoy it without knowing where it's been.
Yeah, where it's come from.
And it's also very hard to enjoy this film when you know where it's been.
Yeah, it's in a weird spot.
But, like, I still think it's not the worst film in 2019.
Oh, definitely not.
Right.
It's not even the worst in the Star Wars franchise. Attack of the Clones is
It's kind of just Return of the Jedi.
basically unwatchable. I like Return of the Jedi more, but yeah, it's similar to Return of the Jedi in a lot of ways. But the conclusion to Return of the Jedi is a lot more fulfilling, I think. I don't know. I kind of put it on par with Phantom Menace.
Really?
Yeah.
Phantom Menace structurally is kind of the same.
At least the prequels have an idea of where they're going.
Do they though?
I feel like it's George Lucas's clear vision to get from Anakin as a child to Anakin turning into Darth Vader, and it doesn't work that well, but it's got a clear vision.
It does have a vision.
Whereas this movie didn't know.
Doesn't.
This Disney franchise, didn't know where it was going from the start because
But-
they weren't meant to bring back Palpatine,
And they brought it back.
and they brought him back because they had no idea.
Yeah,
what to
I
do.
think you just got to look at Rian Johnson. You're like, cool. You had this new.
He did
powerful-
stuff up, but in saying that, JJ could have ran with his ideas.
Well, if you could give it a rating out of like 5 Chad Radwells, or I don't know, 5 brothers,
I'd have to give it a 2.
2 brothers.
Yeah.
I would
Two
give
Brother
it.
Brothers.
I'd give it a 2.5. I don't think it's as bad as the prequels.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not great.
No, it's a bit of a mess.
It's a mess, convoluted. I think.
Thank you to everyone for listening to the very first episode of the Cut the Shit podcast. We originally intended to list of the best movies of 2019, but we've decided to move that back to next week's episode because there's still a few movies we'd like to see so that we can make a definitive list. Once again, thank you for listening, and don't forget to always cut the shit.